This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Entertain me. Entertain me.
Right.
CA, I love you and everything else. You are not our personnel director.
Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter. Twin Cities Live, 3 to 4:30, Channel 5. Watch Ben, our beloved Ben on television, each and every weekday, 3 to 4:30. And his inclusion, 9 to noon, each and every week, is courtesy of Maple Grove Lock and Safe. And good morning, Ben. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing, especially with the loss of the Howl?
Quite well, thank you.
That's good.
Perhaps on the TCL today, you guys show clips from some of the goriest movies ever and compare them to the Timberwolves game last night. For instance, you could take Freddy Krueger and then show his hands and fingers and have them look like Rudy Gobert trying to catch a basketball. Or maybe from the movie Seven, that head in the box exemplifies the 2024-2025 Timberwolves season. When did you check out last night? And a good morning.
Well, I sort of had the best of both worlds in good morning. So we were out at dinner last night celebrating both my 8th grader's graduation and my daughter's 17th birthday.
Hey.
And we just so happened to be sitting at this restaurant right next to the bar area in which there were a plethora of TVs.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a chance to just sort of like keep a side eye on the game.
Yeah. Boy, y'all doing a late dinner at 7:30, 7:45.
Oh, you think that's late?
Yeah, kind of late a little bit. Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, sitting down for dinner after 8 o'clock is a little late for me, but
we're celebrating. But
circumstances be what they were. Didn't get out of the actual graduation until about 6:45. So anyway, so there we were watching the game, and I was kind of a little bit like I wanted to keep more of an eye on the game. Like this is gonna be great, exciting, whatever. And after the first quarter, both my boys and I look at each other like, it's over, it's done. So we just really went back to watching or just paying attention more wholeheartedly to the family. And then, didn't feel like we missed anything. And then we just obviously kept looking over like, no, now they're down by 15. Now it's 20. Oh, it's almost 30. Yeah, it was.
And they're not down about it. They're not sulking. It's just kind of on to the next thing.
You talking about the players and the Wolves, or are you talking about my kids? Because it kind of seemed like the players and the Wolves were acting that same way.
Maybe both were.
Shoulders slouching, late to get back on defense after missed shots, 9 points in the first quarter, and there it is.
Yeah, they seem, in hindsight now, they seem like they were beat after Game 4.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
Yeah.
Like, what else can we throw at them? How
we
much...
really got to get on that plane, and it's not going to Vegas or Turks and Caicos? Right. Are you kidding me?
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, in Game 4, obviously, OKC's defense had a lot to do with our turnovers. I still think that there was a lot of sloppy play and just decision-making.
Yeah.
But you got to give them their credit where it's due. We shot the ball really well across the board. 3-point, everything. Like, our field goal percentage was great. Like, you couldn't have played, I think, statistically outside the turnovers, a better basketball game. And we
Are you talking about last night?
No, I'm talking Game 4.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, they shot 59% at halftime, but had given up 67 points.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but the point is, like, you have that much offensive efficiency in Game 4, and you'd pull within, you'd tie the game, and then OKC would just step on the gas pedal and be like, no, you're not taking the lead. And they'd pull away. And they did that, like 3 times during the course of the game. And at that point in time, I would walk away from that game thinking, like, we gave them everything that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not a better basketball team. We're not a better team. And it seems like that carried its way into Game 5, and they were defeated before they even stepped on the court.
No Core 4 titles here for 3.5 decades. Maybe the 2025 Minnesota Vikings are the elixir for what ails all of us. What do you think?
Oh, it would be amazing.
Amazing.
I'm not necessarily putting my money on it, but we still
because you spent all your money on the over 8.5 on the season wins. I saw the tweet. I came in and said, I'll double it.
I'm for sure. Yeah.
And then I remembered,
that
wait, it's not the AFC South, it's the AFC North this year. Here, hold up, I'm pushing that button.
I'm still full bore that we're going to be over that 8.5. But
yes, they'll win 10 minimum. Yeah,
I mean, I'm as curious and as excited and optimistic as much as about JJ as everybody else, but we've got to see it. It's
right.
I'm giving him obviously a very long leash, and I'm expecting turbulence, some moderate to severe chop.
Yeah, we got moderate chop.
Yeah, we got some moderate chop this season. I mean, you look at any quarterbacks like true timeline, and I get it that you have, Jaden kind of came out the gate amazing. You got what's his butt in Houston, amazing, coming out the gate. But I think when you average everything out, even the greats of all greats stumble out of the blocks. They don't have a great first year, second year. It takes them a while to kind of get their feet underneath them. So, I'm expecting him to be successful, but I would pump the brakes on the Super Bowl aspirations at this point.
We were doing kind of a coach and the kid. I had some audio from both McConnell and O'Connell and JJ McCarthy yesterday. Here's KO talking about kind of the ramp up intellectually, game plan, scheme wise. Specifically for JJ.
Yeah, so the 7-on-7 periods, because it's, in a lot of ways with the way the rules are now, it's a passing camp. That's we're not really going to find out how well we're going to run the ball or stop the run in this setting just because of the tempo of the team drills that we do, split fields, all that stuff. But in the 7-on-7 space, I think you can really get a feel for, is a guy reading with his feet? Is he taking the right drop? Is his base and body and balance position to the throws and sequence of the drop in the proper place? And did he make the throw? And then was it accurate? And then you can kind of coach backwards from the ending of the play. And then there's a lot of things of, did the other guys do their jobs? And that's why it's so great to have the participation of Justin and Jordan and TJ. And we've got our group out there and guys that know what they're doing. So they can give him some real-time feedback as well of, hey, I know you got off me right there, but hey, I'm going to win at the top of this route regardless of the leverage. That's something he's going to get used to hearing from number 18 early and often. But little things like that, it's just, you can't measure the importance of those things. But then, today was a little bit more decisive than yesterday, and to Friday will be the same, and there'll be just growth. And we're not, we're trying to make sure that there's significant amount of offense in right now too. This isn't going to be, we'd be doing a disservice if we try to work real slowly with the material and plays. The better thing we can do is throw a lot at the group, see who's handling what, because we've got other new guys in all three phases that we're trying to see where are they going to slot and fit when it comes to the competition phase in the fall.
So that final 20 seconds was kind of what I was getting at, where he was kind of noting, instead of the idea of just kind of raising him slowly, step by step by step, mistakes along the way, he actually wants to bombard him in some ways, see those mistakes along the way that you're talking about early and try to correct them as he goes.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart approach. I mean, with all of this, it's not like you can't feather the throttle as you go through this offseason. I mean, if you feel like as a coach, you're getting a vibe from your team that I'm going to throw a lot at these guys. I'm going to see my approach this year is to throw a lot against the wall and see what sticks. You can do that. You can, at certain positions, especially the quarterback, you can take it fast. You can take it slow. You can take it week by week and say, all right, well, we really threw a lot at him last week. Let's reevaluate. What did we like? Let's pull off the gas a little bit the second week, and let's really, really dive into some of the details. Let's maybe not have a very thick playbook and all that plays. Let's just rep all the core plays over and over and over again. That way his footwork on his play action looks great. That way we can marry this run play with this play action and really dial it in, because you want that to be muscle memory once the pads come on. But I think such a big part of all of this, and this is the thing that I wish the NFLPA would come back in this next round of negotiations and just give into the game of football a little bit more. Like, let the players and the coaches be able to coach football instead of always looking at things through a lens of, well, we got to look at player safety. I'm like, yeah, these guys have so much time off. They have all the time in the world to get their body right and to get their legs back and to get their body healed before the start of the season. You need to add a little bit more of the competitive nature of the game back into these practices.
This time of the year is what you're saying.
This time of year. Yeah. And part of it for training camp as well. Yeah. And I do think that there needs to be some more physicality. Now, I don't think they have to put the pads on per se, but I think allowing a lot more of the press at the line of scrimmage with these DBs and these wide receivers, like more true one-on-one competitions, that's virtually full speed. You could do a lot of those things, when it comes to 7-on-7, full speed. A lot of these team drills, when we're doing blitz pickup, you're not going to blow up the running back if you're Ivan Pace, but you're going to get through the line. You're going to get through that line as fast as possible and almost game speed to allow those offensive linemen to get a correct read.
Yeah.
Like those things should be in play. And when you're trying to find the timing with a receiver that they may see one leverage and you're like, well, is he going to get there? Well, in 7-on-7 in the current situation, yeah, he's going to get there because there's no physicality. But in a game-like situation, I don't know if he's going to get there. And can I trust him on that read with that leverage? So all those things, I just wish the pendulum would swing back a little bit more to the middle.
Brilliant. And with you. 2 segments from now, by the way, we unfurl the T-Wolves talkbacks via the free iHeartRadio app. And don't forget, about 90 minutes from now, we have a prize to give away. It's from Sukup Manufacturing. That prize package will include...
Yeah, thank you, Sukup. It has a Carhartt cooler, a Brewmate canteen, portable JBL speaker, coffee tumbler, a hoodie, and a Sukup baseball cap. Thank you, Sukup Manufacturing.
9 to noon.
Man.
Last year, I don't know the specific amount of reps, but I would say, it's probably not as much as it is now. And, it's every receiver that I'm with, it's that timing, those reps, all of that has to, be built up over time. So, the more reps, the better. And, yeah, I just feel like, we're not where we want to be, but we're going to be there when we need to.
McCarthy. He's JJ. Talking about working with Jets, Justin Jefferson. Welcome back to 9 to noon. A final segment with Ben Leber at Nacho Leber. Watch him on Channel 5 today at 3 o'clock. It's called Twin Cities Live, TCL. Yeah, we. With McCarthy, and we saw this during training camp last year and during his truncated performance against the Las Vegas Raiders in the preseason game. He has an arm, a very, very strong arm. He made a right hash mark left sideline throw yesterday. That was a spiral. It was just beautiful. It was powerful. He threw the receiver open. So going from, one set of hash marks to the other sideline is not a problem. Where it's a problem for some quarterbacks, it's not for him. However, at 22 years of age, with that big arm, finding touch on all the passes, I would imagine will come with experience and maturation. Is that generally how it works?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again,
everything's a fastball.
Well, going back to what I was talking about last segment is so much of it's timing and repetition and understanding, okay, on this series of throws and this type of throws, I know from a cadence standpoint of like how much time I have in the pocket, okay, this ball's got to come out. I just told the lineman that this is a 3-step or this is a 5-step, and I can't sit there and pat the ball and go through this many reads and then make this throw. I've got to get this ball out, and if the ball has to come out quick and fast and it's, 10 yards down the field, well, that's just the way it's got to be. You can't do that on every throw. You definitely have to learn how to use that governor a little bit, especially on screen passes and things like that. When do you float a ball? When you just put a high archer on it, when you need to fire it in there. And then, he's athletic enough to throw from different angles as well. So I think, again, for him, it's just going to be about repetitions in practice, full speed repetitions, and then obviously we're going to see what happens in the game, but he's going to need, 1,000 game reps as well.
Right.
Here's JJ talking about taking risks now.
Most of the risk is just, anticipatory throws, trying to fit it in a tight spot and, trying little things with my footwork and my eyes and little things like that. But, it's just, not being afraid to fail out here, go out there and, try new things and, afterwards chalk it up and, go from there.
He had, speaking of eyes, he had such a genuine childlike answer to a question yesterday that involved the defense. I can't imitate him, but it was Harrison Smith. His eyes, he's going this way and his shoulders are going that way. And then all of a sudden I think and there he is. It's just what he does with his eyes are just amazing. It reminded me of what was just said.
Yeah. But maybe this is just the obvious part. Like, trying to analyze because it is 7-on-7. There isn't maybe a more physical and competitive element that you were talking about last segment, Ben, but he needs to go out there and throw some picks. He needs to go out there and try to thread the needle, and it doesn't work, but then a week later it does. Part of that kind of that market improvement is you want to see the aggression and him kind of learning what parts of the electric fence, so to speak, that I can touch and not get zapped.
The interesting thing about his answer, which is a great answer, is you also have to look at intentionality. When you're going out to some of these practices and the way that he's apparently approaching this offseason, because if you say that he has let's say he goes out and has a bad practice today and he throws, let's say 3 interceptions, is he really being risky? Or was he, when you look back at the film, is he intentionally trying to fit the ball in those situations? And those are only things that you can talk about on the field and obviously going through film work.
And if there's a double, but it's Jefferson and they're working on, we see this a lot. I want to see if you can get the ball in this space.
Correct.
Because we know he can go up and get it, but it has to be 10-10 perfect.
Correct.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. So sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is where he's at, but I've been around now they're more veteran players. And they'll make a mistake, and they'll say, the coaches will ask, what happened here?
Yep.
Like, wow, when I was watching film this week, this guy was doing this on this and this and this, and they would make it sound like they deduced this novel from watching film. And that's the reason why I did X, Y, and Z. Now, is that real? Or did you just have a brain fart and now you just you've had time to think about how you could spin this?
Yeah.
As long as he knows internally that, nope, I made a mistake because I was trying something else. Or KOC put me in a position where we knew we were going to get bracket coverage there. And that's something that I'm going to have to see. And if I make that mistake, fine. I know what the situation was. But if you go out and just make mistakes and then hide behind the fact, I was being risky there.
Yep.
Were you, though?
Right.
Were you being risky, or you didn't see Harrison Smith and his eyes going over the top?
Well, this is training camp good, not OTA.
Well, if you're watching this, Ben, is it a hitch? Is it a shuffle of the feet, whether you're KO or the offensive staff, so after that practice, whether that's an intentional mistake, it's trying something new, whatever it is, are there things that you can see from the kid that's okay, I can tell that the processing speed's lagging here. I can look back at that and really dial in, and maybe that's just part of knowing the guy and getting to work with him more. But, a hitch, a shuffle, anything, a readjustment of any sort that kind of, you look for those things as his processing speed gets better.
Yeah, I think so. I think body mechanics, body language, all those things that you can see even in practices like this where, things should come out on time. Like we just talked about, there's not a lot of disruption when it comes to the pass routes in the way that these guys are supposed to be throwing and running with the football, because there's just the physicality and the rush is taken out of it. If you're watching practice and you're seeing a lot of, messy footwork, double clutching, not quite sure, breaking the pocket because internally as a quarterback, I've been in this pocket too long, I just got to break out and try to make something happen. Those shouldn't happen as much in practices like this. Things should be much crisper. And, it only when, certain things arise. They are going to have some competitive practices or competitive segments. There are going to be some real blitz opportunities, and you're going to have a free rusher that's just going to break through the line and then take a knee right next to the quarterback, which would be a win for the defense. And then he's going to feel a little bit of that and get a little jittery. Not quite sure. And it might look sloppy and all that other stuff. So it's not to say that they don't get disruption. They don't get some good looks. They just don't get near the looks they're going to get in training camp. But yeah, I think that you watch enough football, you can see when quarterbacks especially just aren't in rhythm and in timing.
Lastly, or maybe with 1.5 or 2 left for Ben Leber at Nacho Leber. Stop smiling for a second. I'm going to see if I can make you smile just by reading something, okay?
Okay.
Because it's organized team activities. You did them. We didn't. We both watched them. We know it's class on the grass, but you occasionally, not necessarily a play, but they're like scenarios you can see where you back off. You're kind of like, hey, okay, I think that's all right. Bet you I can make you smile. When they lined up with Hargrave and Allen on the inside, and the Gink and Grenard outside, it's like I saw it. I heard about it. Mm-hmm. They signed it. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. Pretty nice.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think?
Well, it's what do you think is what matters more, because you got, Hargrave's shorter than I thought, but you can tell he's unbelievably strong. Allen is sculpted, got a nice quick twitch with what we were watching. We know what Gink does. We saw it last year. We know what Grenard does. And against the run, he's, I think, a lot better than anybody knew. So now that 4 working in unison and becoming like identifiable, or the identity of your defense, I think you're going to like it.
I know. And the thing is, it does make me smile, because I still think that is sort of the core of how you build this team, offense and defensive line. And it's obviously it's not a novel concept, but it just hasn't seemed like we've been solidified in those 2 spots up in KOC's short tenure here. So now that we've added these pieces, I think it's like, okay, now we can really play the brand of football that we can get really excited about. And then you throw in the fact that there's going to be some 5-man opportunities where Harrison Phillips is a straight up just a nose guard, right over the center, a slight shade on the center. And then you have those 2 guys on the outside, and then we have, our 2 all-pros on the outside, or 2 Pro Bowlers on the outside rushing off the edge. I'm in a 5-man front like that.
It's pretty nice.
That's awesome, because
it has the potential.
It has the potential of being game-wrecking and disruptive for 4 quarters.
Yes.
And I love that. And you're setting yourself up not only to stop the run, but you can also, get after the quarterback. And again, the best part about it is, you want to do as much damage to the quarterback in a 4 and a 5-man rush as possible without having to bring a 6th guy. And if we can do that on a consistent basis, just rush 4 or just rush maybe an odd 5 look. Maybe we drop an outside linebacker because we have an inside linebacker blitzing. Just the flexibility that we could get. I cannot wait to watch this in training camp this year.
I was hoping to see Isaiah Rodgers. He might have been there. I didn't see him. I mean, with the roster and all the players on it, his numbers there and everything, but I didn't see him out there. So maybe he wasn't there. And I still can't pick him out of a 2-person lineup standing next to Jason Sehorn. But I'm sure sooner or later we're going to get the opportunity to watch him. However, they might be a corner short, and we've discussed this before. And Jalen Ramsey is there for the trading. What do you think about that? You can make a move for Jalen Ramsey after June 1st. What do you think of that?
I guess it depends on what the move is.
Yeah.
Obviously super talented.
What if it's Jalen Naylor and a 3rd rounder?
Sure. Yeah.
You'd ponder.
Yeah, I'd ponder that.
Now you need the Maryland receiver to be good and Rondell Moore to be healthy.
Well, that's the one. The Rondell Moore thing, I think, is really fascinating.
It's a wild card.
It's a total wild
card.
High
risk, potential, high reward.
I know.
Oh, you're getting me bit right now with excitement. It's too early in the year to be excited.
The jitteriness of what we could have with him and the amount of options that we could have with him.
Remember when you were on the sidelines at State Farm and Zimmer went 0 blitz and Kyler threw a punt and nobody was near Rondale, and there he goes for a touchdown? Mm-hmm. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, now lastly, you're a wonderful human being and a connoisseur of a terrific Manischewitz. And for all of that, we thank you. Yeah. Congratulations on the child-related accolades.
Yep.
And thank you, Maple Grove Lock and Safe. Watch on TV today at 3 o'clock. And you got any appearances or anything coming up?
No, nothing to promote other than as I was texting you earlier, I will miss you next week. I will be in your old place,
Washington D.C.
I know that I'd love to go tour your neighborhood, but I don't think I can't break off from the tour that I'll be on to go do that. But think of me while I'm there.
I will.
Maybe I'll send you a little picture of. I guess we're going to the White House.
Yeah,
I guess we're going to Capitol Hill.
White House, right next. Copyright Dan Cole, right next to the Eiffel Tower. You have the Lincoln Memorial, which is right next to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So wonderful photo opportunities. Okay,
I know. I can't wait. Yeah,
you're the best.
I'll send you pics, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
You're going to send me pics? Cool. Well, we will see you on TV today at 3 o'clock, okay?
Okay.
Twin Cities Live, TCL. Yeah, you know him. When we return, the Ballyhooed 9 to noon Thursday debut of Timberwolves Talkbacks. Timberwolves Talkbacks on that L last night. And the Talkbacks we set up earlier, or the ones that you have created. That takes place next, and you're listening to KFAN.
Free iHeartRadio app. You hit the microphone. Give us up to your best 30 seconds. Putting the Howl Western Conference Final Series to bed. Your thoughts on the Wolves. Where your head is currently at, we should say. But thank you to those. And courtesy of Sukup Manufacturing, today and then tomorrow as well will be the finale of it. Your opportunity to win a Sukup prize pack, Carhartt cooler, Brewmate canteen, portable JBL speaker, coffee tumbler, a hoodie, and a Sukup baseball cap. And let's commence with the talkbacks.
Hey, Nordo.
Hey.
Do we have that Finchy presser at 11?
I'm still waiting for confirmation on whether we're going to have access to that. It's being efforted. Yeah. Absolutely.
I got you on that. 1041. Good morning.
To the talkbacks.
Good morning, PA and Nordo. This is Thomas from Chanhassen here, lifelong Wolves fan. I stopped watching closely at halftime. I kept a stray eye on it throughout the second half, but it definitely was better for my mental health not to watch the games closely. I'd like to get your thoughts on this take. The Julius Randle finish to this season, the last two games, was eerily similar to Sam Darnold's finish with the Vikings. And does that mean that he might be gone this offseason? What are your thoughts?
The last time we saw Minnesota Vikings quarterback, a Vikings quarterback, he was getting sacked 9 times. It plays into the we've been to handling school narrative, and that's something with which we started 9 to noon today, where basically it was like Nordo and I should get accredited, find financial backing, and open a university and call it handling school. We would need Uncle Jimmy, Barry Butzo, Brother Tim Siegley with First Resource Bank, and because Nordo and I need significant capital to help others suffering from Minnesota sports-related depression. And we start handling school with a slogan where defeat and denial meet destiny. That plays into what Thomas's talkback entail. Because with Julius Randle, 2 games does not an opinion make. But they're the most recent. They were at the biggest times. Some things that were said after game number 4 with lack of inclusion and stuff, I just wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of. And then last night we had some disastrous moments. So, but the thing here is you can attempt to trade Julius Randle, but he holds all of the proverbial cards. With the player option of $30 million, if he takes it, he's on the team.
Yeah.
So now if you trade him, it's okay. Well, he had his representation had an opportunity to talk to you about this 30 and he could decline it and probably take less somewhere else if he wants, which is actually what I think might happen. But nevertheless, having Julius on the team, I would want him on the team after a full year and an opportunity to reconfigure some things when you come up for air. It's FIGA, Fairness and Gobert Act. I mean, at one point, the last time we saw Rudy Gobert, he was throwing punches at slow-mo a day Jaden McDaniels broke his hand. And by the way, that game was at our place right in front of all the fans. Well, the next year was a lot better. They went to the Western Conference Finals. Like you, Thomas, I went to bed at halftime, and I laid in bed listening to Horton and Jim Pete on the vast and ever-expanding Wolves channel and the iHeartRadio app. Then I fell asleep because the game was terrible. Woke up in the middle of the night to some rube via the iHeart family bloviating about who's a better quarterback and why, Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. And I subsequently turned off my phone. So that was my evening. I checked out somewhere in the third quarter, just like Thomas.
And the other thing, too, trade Julius, you're not going to get better in that return, right? If the idea is you got to the Western Conference Final 2 times in a row, now you need to get over that hump. What are you going to get back? You can get picks?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to play that through your head in terms of the replacement value or the replacement cost associated with that.
Okay, Khan wants to go baseline. Nordo wants to go baseline and build it up, and I like that about him. Okay, baseline. You have to have enough players to field a team.
You do.
Okay, so we start there. That you need 15. Okay, but then you need 8 or 9 to play, and he was quite good at it for a long period of time.
He was,
where a lot of things worked. Okay, next layer. Who did you run into? You ran into a team that is putting down historical numbers for its defensive prowess.
Indeed.
Ant's not the first, and he won't be the last. Julius ain't the first victim, and he won't be the last. They're probably gonna win the NBA championship. And they're going to, as we mentioned yesterday, I mean, what'd you say? Like something through 2027 picks or something? First round picks?
Yeah, I think it's 13 or 14 first round picks in the next 7 years.
Yeah, and they don't have to pay the right Jalen Williams more than $4 million for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah,
same thing with Chet.
They're going nowhere, man. I mean,
they're going nowhere.
They're very good.
So and this, I'm preaching to myself right now. I had to think about this driving in this morning. We just have to consider the level of competition to which we just lost. We came into the series hoping the Wolves would win. None of us predicted they were going to win the series. But we recognized from the Lakers to the Warriors without Steph to this, it's akin to winning a couple of stakes races at our favorite track, Canterbury Park, and then going to Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Day and thinking that you're just going to roll by those other 13 in that race.
Yeah.
You're not.
Right.
The stock's better. The stock was better. The barn's better. The feed's better. The farrier's better. All things better.
Sounds amazing.
And we ran into that, right into the teeth of it, and weren't good enough. Okay, final layer. So if you're not good enough and mama says knock them out and they get knocked out, how are you going to go down? Nordo and I don't like how they went out. And that's why we ended the show yesterday with yours truly preaching, if you're going to lose with class, lose with aplomb, lose throwing haymakers, lose throwing uppercuts. Let them leave with some scratches and some cuts and bloodied, but they got the money because they were the tougher boxer. No, we hoisted the white flag middle of the first quarter, and it was just a matter of waiting for the game to be over for it to end. There was no punchback, no pushback, and it was frustrating. It was embarrassing. And I found myself feeling, and I think you did too with one of those texts you sent me last night, feeling bad for Finchie and feeling bad for the coaching staff, which is just the way things were developing, you know?
Absolutely. Well, let's get to the talkbacks here. We asked for the talkbacks. We got the talkbacks. Let's hear the talkbacks.
Good morning, PA and Nordo. Look, I quit watching after the first quarter last night and went swimming in the hotel pool with my kids instead. Much more enjoyable. Ant might be 23, but I'm halfway to my deathbed with no championships in sight. Do you feel me? H, capital O, capital W, and a double underlined L.
No, it's not a double. It's 5 of them, 4 of them. It's HOWLLLL because they beat us 4-1. And that's awesome that they had some family time at the hotel pool. On to the next one.
Man, I got Doug West autographs, Luke Longley autographs.
Sweet.
But there was some excitement this year, and I think that we should be proud for what the team did, despite like the anti-cohesion we had during the regular season. So as much as it hurts, let's just take this blow and feel good about it. This is Nick from Minneapolis, signing off on a decent season from the Wolves. Thank you.
That's very fair. It's very fair. But it gets into the question yesterday that was posed. If they lose last night, is the season a success or not? I'm not one that has to end each season by determining success or failure. Some of them are tough to determine because none of them are successful if you don't win championships.
Right.
So that means inherently all of them are failures. Well, I think that's too strong. So it really is what you pull out of it, and what experiential moments you had with it. Last night was a failure with a capital F, failure. It was an absolute failure.
Well, and, the one thing to look at here, too, is last night was an absolute failure. But in the last 5 seasons, you look at the teams who have represented conferences in the finals. I'm pretty sure we're going to have 9 out of 10 different teams in the last 5 seasons. The Suns, the Bucks, the Warriors, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Heat, the Mavericks, Celtics again. But now this year it'll be Thunder and either Knicks or Pacers. You have, the parity that we're seeing as you have aging dynasties like what's happening with the Dubs right now. This lends to the idea of space for new. So in the context, a team that made it to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row in this muddy game that we're seeing right now league-wide in terms of teams emerging, Celtics fans would have to say, you're sad for the injury to Tatum, but that season would be a failure given defending champions, given expectations.
Right.
I think you'd have to look at it. Maybe Lakers, you can look at it that way too, where you make the big move for Luka. And as it is with LeBron every year, finding that other guy to pair with him and get it done. Didn't, and he's aging. LeBron is. Maybe that's a failure.
Yeah.
But in the muddiness of this, where a different team each year appears to be emerging, the consistency the last 2 seasons of the Wolves finding themselves at the doorstep, one could find success in that.
Well, the
losers lament along the way, of course.
I understand, but that's what the therapeutic Davenport of love is for, and why we remove the plastic seemingly 4 times a year. When teams don't lose, they just crash. Now, the Wild didn't crash. It lost, I think, its last game 3-2, but that comes with a caveat.
Yeah.
They haven't won a freaking playoff series in a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, whatever. We'll talk about that some other time. Get to the what's next plan for, like, the Timberwolves, and whether we get into it next week or not. I can see what's coming a mile away right now, and I'm going to be negative on it. So, it's trading for Kevin Durant. I've seen it during the postseason. He's available, potentially available, all that kind of stuff. No, I'm negative on it. So I'm mostly negative on it. But the what's next plan is what's next for 9 to noon, but probably I'm not one that like it's over and you spent all this time nurturing and loving and loathing and supporting and staying up past midnight and getting up early and following and loving and talk back and text more than people know. And then all of a sudden it's over and it's like, all right, how do we get KD? All right, how do we get KD? Okay, what about this? No, if you're like that, great. I'm not like that. I like to feel the moment of the L, feel the moment of the W.
Soak it in a bit
and decompress and shake off the slam dunk related stupor and move on to a pick 5 or 2.
Yeah.
And then start putting the what's next plan together for next week.
Yeah, I need Dave's faves to help me out here.
Yes,
that's part of handling school too. Is Dave, can you help me out with the pick 5?
Now that's an ancillary campus called Handeland School.
Yes, indeed. I'm looking for. You know what? I'll say this.
Hey, you want that money for handling school from the uncles, don't you?
As while he's 1 for 1 with me on a correct. Yes. I'm kind of, once I get through this weekend, I'm kind of excited to watch the finals. I kind of will. Yeah. I will be excited, and I know it's the battle of the cornfields, right?
That's great.
But I will.
Knicks ain't done.
Watch those games.
Okay, are you going to watch it if the Knicks rally, win the series, and Karl Anthony Towns is NBA Finals MVP?
I will watch that.
How's that going to feel?
That's part of the Davenport. That's part. We're going to have to reupholster that thing twice in 10 days.
Well, you haven't looked at the addendum or the course list for this new venture called Handling School. One of them is tearing others down to feel better about ourselves.
Oh, well, that's expert. That's a 400 class right there.
Ferrero's teaching that one. And therefore, if Cat becomes the NBA Finals MVP, I mean, holy cow, that's going to be an emotion all of its own.
Yeah, I won't know. I won't know how to handle that. I have no animus towards him, though. There's no malice towards Cat, right? He moves on, but there is, of course, the idea that we moved on from him because we believed we could be better.
But see, it's a look in the mirror moment for me because I have no problem conceding I'm wrong. I have no problem conceding FICA Fairness and Contrition Act. I'm a man who says he's sorry when he is sorry, even if I feel like I'm 75% right. Just to end conflict, confrontation, or something stupid, I'll just say I'm sorry, and I love you. And we'll move on to the lobbying for the next vacation day. Excuse me, we'll move on to the next conversation. So I have no problem doing that. And I did not see it clearly with Karl Anthony Towns after that trade. Now, I also didn't cast my gaze to who he's become. I didn't give him credit for thinking he could become what I have watched him become.
Right.
And that is a mature man who handles calls he thinks he should get, and he doesn't, better than he did here.
He did.
More tenacity and wherewithal to go try to dunk on somebody, and somebody who just has more team to him than I thought.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I'm not going to back, because when they made that deal, I'm like, I know Julius's game inside and out. I'm low-key a closet fan. Passes better than Cat, which he does. And I think he has that dog in him that Karl Anthony Towns doesn't. I was wrong. Karl Anthony Towns has every bit as much cliche dog, toughness, tenacity, and fortitude as Julius Randle. And I'm the one that can say, if I'm the one that says 2 games does not an opinion or season make, true. And I would like Julius back on the team next year so we can see if what we just saw gets better.
Well, I'd like to see year 2 from both those guys.
But there are parts of those 2 games with number 30 that I'll never forget. I'll just never forget.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it from Karl Anthony Towns. Some childish, immature things I saw from him I didn't like.
Yeah.
But I've also watched him all postseason with the Knicks. He's a different guy. He's a different guy, and I didn't give him credit for even having the opportunity or maturity to recognize what needs to be different. But he did, and it's different, and they're better.
Hey guys, Max from Egan again. I'm going to use this as a safe space to rant because I think we're all in the same boat here. Every single time we had the basketball in the first half, it's like we stopped at half court, dunked it in baby oil, and then tried to play basketball. It was ridiculous. We couldn't hold on to the ball for the life of us. I watched till the end of the game simply because I wanted to see the pride and joy of this team, Luka Garza, run around for a couple of minutes, who, by the way, had more points than Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker combined. What are we doing?
I like that a lot. I like it a lot. That's a very good talk back. And the what are we doing part included Nickeil Alexander-Walker. If I can find it in the Toll story from what I wrote very early this morning, I'd love to share it because I want Nickeil Alexander-Walker back on the team. And here's why. So he was at $4 million and change for this year.
Yep.
And he's set to become unrestricted. We're not talking about a bank-breaking scenario here.
Right.
Here's the thing that, I mean, maybe others have said it. I haven't said it, and I just kind of saw it last night a little bit where I'm like, hey, I guess I've never seen that with beloved Na. He has some point guard to him, and he can handle the ball, and he can run the offense. And they may need some point guard from non-point guard-like players moving forward. So talk back time if you want. Should they keep him given he's unrestricted? My answer absolutely is yes. I'm more 50-50 is the bad equation, is not the right equation. I'm not as all-in-ish on Naz Reid as a lot of the analytical people are and a lot of people are. And yeah, I want Naz to be on the team. And I recognize 15 is light. Okay, his player option is 15, and he's going to say no, and we'll see what he gets. His skill set's very hard to find, for sure. 6'10", 6'11", 7-footish, whatever, who can dribble the way he dribbles. And him executing the stumble bum last night and just falling,
Oh, the Caruso bet?
Just falling.
Well, I guess which time, yeah.
He toppled. First quarter, he just toppled and he just fell. But then again, we got Ant shooting threes, hitting sides of backboards. I mean, that was last night.
Couple air balls in the mix.
Yeah, so that was that. If I'm shipping all in on Naz Reid, he has to start, okay? Because if you look at his games against Oklahoma City this year, he started 3 of them, and he might have gone for 22 a game. He was part of the chat. He was part of the mix, in games that Randall and Gobert didn't play. They needed him, and he came through. So I think it's time for Naz to start. Super special 6 man of the year. Kevin McHale go crazy. That's Jordan Clarkson, Lou Williams go crazy. That's terrific. Those were your roles. Time for Naz Reid to start. Secondly, he has to rebound better. And when you're that big and you're 6 whatever, but you play like you're 6'4", and your strength is on the perimeter, either hitting threes or breaking down guys as big as you. Well, that still can be there, but they need his rebounding against a team like Oklahoma City. And I just think he needs to rebound better, but I'd like him back on the team, but I'm not as far down the road on it as some others.
You want to pause and do some more? I got a ton of talkbacks here.
Cool. Let's pause for the cause. Play those talkbacks back around the corner. Blake Cashman, linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, joins about 11:20 to talk about a celebrity charity softball game that takes place tonight in St. Paul. And we'll give you information on that and mix it up with Blake Cashman about 20 minutes from